So let's get started. First and foremost, I want to make sure that voters understand that since last Wednesday, we've had 40 vote centers available for every voter in Maricopa County. Our new model that we launched this year includes not only the 40 vote centers, but the assigned polling place for each individual voter. So we've got options for voters that have been available and are available today. We've gotten a lot of feedback from voters today, and that's important. One of the main things that we've done under my administration is really open up a communication with folks. That feedback is important because we can't meet any of these challenges if we don't know what they are. Number two, during this election, we employed a contractor to help us do some stuff and deploy some resources. Unfortunately, that contractor doesn't appear to have deployed the amount of resources necessary to get us where we needed to go. We actually yesterday evening had to train even up to some of our senior staff to do the job that the contractor was supposed to be doing, and we're working through those issues as well. And lastly, on that point, almost every single one of the issues that we've had to deal with today has to do directly with this, and so obviously we will be working hard to make sure we get that taken care of. In conclusion, on this first part of the opening statement, voter access has become a little bit of an issue during this election, and that is of utmost importance for us. We are concerned that some voters are having problems out there, and I think that that's terrible. One voter having problems is too many, as far as I'm concerned. As far as security, we have not identified any issues regarding security, either of our data or our locations at this moment. And so we're still doing well and remaining very vigilant in that regard. As to accountability, this office is obviously accountable, and we will be making sure that as we move forward through the day, we hold accountable those folks who should be doing certain work, including myself in the office. So that's basically where we're at. Now, let me give you a couple of quick numbers so that we can be talking from the same sheet of music here. We've got a total of 503 voting sites in Maricopa County. That includes 40 bonus vote centers. Again, these bonus vote centers have been running since last Wednesday of last week. They've been running well, and we've gotten very, very positive feedback. That's probably why a lot of people haven't heard so much about them since then. But they are operating today. They've been operating all day today. Those 40 bonus vote centers, any Maricopa County voter can vote at any one of those sites, and that's great. The main issues we have, of course, are at some of these other polling places. So as far as that goes, out of the 748 precincts that we've got, a variety of those actually don't have any voters in them. We created them for other reasons, and we can talk a little bit about that as well. So right now, I'd like to go ahead and take any questions if anybody has any.
Mr. Bundes, you said
yes.
That the contractors didn't deploy. What does deploy mean?
Well, I'll be very frank. We had a contract to have 103 technicians running around Maricopa County yesterday to help set up those around 460 sites. We only got about 73 of them. And by the time we realized that it wasn't going to be, that work wasn't going to be getting done, we had to get our own people from inside of county government, including my chief of staff, my deputy, and my comms director, to train them to do the job that somebody else was contracted to do.
Can you tell us who this contractor is and how they were chosen to be hired?
Well, let me tell you right now that the fact of the matter is there's probably going to be some more action moving forward. And so while we still have issues to work out, and we're still going to be moving to make this election successful, which I think we can get to, I'm going to hold off on any of that for now. But you will hear about this in the future, rest assured.
When you say action, do you mean legal action?
That's a possibility. I'm not ruling anything out.
Is this the first year for this contract?
This is not the first time that we've used this contractor, and that's one of the reasons why I don't want to get too far throwing anybody under the bus. In the past, they've performed well, and so we'll just leave that as it is for now.
When you say technicians, you mean someone physically helping people vote on the machines or installing the machines? Like, what do you mean by that?
So what I mean is we had individuals that were to be deployed yesterday to the individual polling sites to go set up our new technology, which, as you know, the voters really like. And so at these individual sites is where they were just going to set it up. And that didn't happen the way it was promised.
Do you have voting machines now set up at every location, or how many do you not at this point if you didn't have enough technicians to set them up?
At this moment, which is a little before 10 o'clock in the morning, we are less than half a dozen sites away from being 100% available. However, I do want to emphasize to all voters out there that our bonus voting sites that have been available for almost a week now, all 40 of them, any voter can vote at any one of those. So if you didn't get a chance to do it this morning, we're available at lunch, we're available after work, we're available all day, and any voter can vote at any one of those sites.
What are the less than half a dozen sites that don't have voting available?
We are working that list right now, and we're working down through those. We should be able to get that to you a little bit later, but as I indicated, there's a very high likelihood that those will be up and functioning shortly.
Don't want people showing up to those places thinking they can vote.
Absolutely, and so we're gonna be getting that information real quick. I got raw numbers. We've been running through this to get in here, so I don't have the names of the sites. I'm sorry about that.
Is this contract the reason polling sites are reporting computer problems all day?
I mean, could you ask that again? I didn't.
Is the contractor the reason that some sites have been having IT problems throughout the day?
Yes.
People also called us about places where ballots were not able to print. I guess those are the same IT problems that you talked about.
So the circumstance that we have really is an issue of connectivity. Are we making sure that all this happens correctly? And if the equipment is not set up correctly in the first place, we're going to end up with those kinds of problems. So in all of the sites that our equipment has been set up properly and that was contracted well and executed well, we haven't had any problems. For example, our bonus vote centers, we haven't had any problems at those bonus vote centers. We've been able to print ballots all day, frankly, for the last week. And everybody that's gone in there has experienced little, if any, lines. They get right in, they get their custom ballot printed, and they move along. And so that's really what we're looking forward to utilizing in the future a little more.
I have two numbers questions. How
Sure.
many reports have you gotten of problems or complaints?
We've gotten way too many, and if I say dozens, I don't have a raw number for you, but look, the reports of issues and challenges out there are things that we want. All right, we're not going to run away from this. We're going to head at it, and we want the public to continue to talk with us and let us know where the issues are so that we can resolve them. Because the voters' issues aren't just them. This is a partnership between our office and the electorate. This is their vote after all, and we want to make sure that folks have access to the ballot and they get their ballots counted. And if we've got a problem out there, we need to hear about it. And so this conversation that we're having back and forth is unfortunate and hopefully can be avoided in the future, but at the end of the day, it's necessary so that we can resolve these circumstances. Let's not forget, it's not even 10 o'clock in the morning, and we've got a situation that looked pretty bad a couple hours ago, and we're almost up to 100%.
That's fine, but when you say way too many, I just even not necessarily a firm number, but ballpark. Are we talking dozens, hundreds?
I would say
thousands?
if it was less than 100, I'd be surprised.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody else?
What's happening at the vote centers that aren't operational right now? Are they locking the doors and letting people in? What's going on?
So the vote centers themselves, those 40 bonus vote centers, are not having any problems at all. Where we're having some challenges are those individual polling places, the neighborhood polling places. Those are the individual neighborhood places where we didn't get that contractor to have that stuff set up as planned and as contracted early on. So the major problems and challenges are not at our bonus vote centers at all.
Well, what's happening at those sites that aren't up?
We're working like the Dickens to get them working is what's happening right now.
That would be the explanation for some people telling us that the doors are locked because technicians are still inside trying to get them set up.
That would be the explanation for them still being closed, and I have an update. We've got 4 voting sites that are still not up. As I indicated, it was 6 before we started. We're down to 4. Cielo, Linda Vista Senior Center in the Cielo precinct is still being worked. Lakeview, the Lakeview Recreation Center is also still being worked on. New River, the Daisy Mountain Fire Station is still being worked on. And I've spoken directly with Supervisor Gates as well this morning. That was a concern of his out in his district, and he understands the circumstance. And I think the last one here is the Palm Valley precinct, and there's it's at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints out there that is still being worked. And there is a site at Cheatham District that is unfortunately using paper rosters because they don't have any internet connection, but we've got that paper roster backup, and the pre-printed ballots will be counted on site. We don't need the internet connection to count those ballots at that neighborhood precinct location.
Mr. Fontes, can you walk us through the timeframe? When did you guys realize that there was an issue?
So, all right, we ended up yesterday at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon getting an inordinate amount of calls from some of our troubleshooters who are out there. Now, our troubleshooters, just to be pretty quick on that, Murphy, let me give this back to you in case you need it. Our troubleshooters are a group of folks who came in and did a bunch of training. We had a bunch of them in on Saturday, and they've got several precinct voting places assigned to them. They started calling us and saying, hey, where's our technicians? Where's our technicians? And the troubleshooters, the inspectors, and the folks who are opening up, right, whether it's a school conference room or a church center, were waiting and waiting and waiting. And ultimately, we realized we've got a real problem, and so we started talking with the contractor to make sure that we were getting the folks deployed. By about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, then, we realized that it was probably going to be a real problem, and we started training our own staff. As a matter of fact, I deployed my deputy last night, I think at about 9 o'clock, out to Chandler to get one of those sites up. So we've been working on this all day yesterday through the morning this morning. Even my chief of staff got trained up to do some of this technical work that the contractor was supposed to do. Yeah, that's sort of where we were at.
So I know that there are some folks here who wanted to do some one-on-one interviews. Is that still the case?
Yes. Actually, if you guys are done, ¿nos puede dar un pequeño resumen en español para los televidentes de habla hispana, por favor?
Sí, claro que sí. Si nos dan un momentito más.
Okay.
Any other quick questions before we go ahead and?
Well, at the height of this last night and this morning, I know you're down to less than a half dozen now. How many sites did you have issues with, given that you didn't have enough content?
Well, I'll tell you this. There's never been an election in Maricopa County where we were open 100% right on time. And this is what the folks with all the experience that are still working here have told us. We always have a little hiccup here and a little problem there. The issue is that we're in a situation where we've got to answer to our voters, and we want to make sure that they've got access. And that's why we're dealing with this first thing in the morning and making sure we've got it taken care of. Yesterday afternoon, when we really had this discussion with the question over here and figured out where we were at, we were over 250 that we didn't think were going to be open. And so we've resolved that all the way down to 4 or 5 right now. We've been working real hard with our own staff to get this work done. And so it's been an exercise in patience and strategy and planning and trying to work with our own staff who have been really, they've been crushing it to get the job done.
And not to put words in your mouth, this is more than what you would call a hiccup.
Absolutely, but when I say hiccup, I'm referring to some of the elections in the past. You know, if you have a small jurisdictional